Okay, so some of you will be aware that I'm self-employed, Paul Acres haulage, and some of you on Facebook probably will be aware that I had a lot of problems with the revenue. Not entirely due to the self-employment, but this does come into it. Now, last year they sent me a tax rebate for, well, a considerable sum. It paid a month's rent anyway, so. And then this year they decided that they wanted half of it back, which was nice of them. So I took umbrance with this, and I said, hang on, you know, you sent me this money last year, now you want half of it back. I mean, you know, what's going on there? So this went on for a long time. I had several letters from them, 4 or 5 letters, varying different amounts. One week I owed them 350 quid, next week I owed them 175 quid, week after that 200 quid, whatever. So after 4 letters of complaint, or 5 letters of complaint I think, I finally managed to get some sense out of them. And then they said, we've identified the firm. I'm not going to name them, just because it's not really, you know, I would, you know I would, but it's not really important. It was a firm I worked for briefly part-time over last Christmas, you know, which was about the only work I could get at the time. So it turns out that they hadn't paid any tax for me. So the next thing was, right, well, we're going to try and chase this firm down, they said, but you know, if we can't, you'll still have to pay it. Although at this point now I only owed them 100 quid, that's quite recent. So I said, well, here's the thing. I said, I'm self-employed now, so pay as you earn, you know, because obviously, again, we had the thing, we're going to take it out of your tax, out of your wages, you know, we'll take the tax out of your wages. So I said, well, I'm self-employed now, you know, but the accountants pay me, and then they tell me how much tax to give you, so good luck. So I had an employer a couple of years ago now. His name is Richard England. Don't forget that name because he's still out there. He owes me about £2,000. So that's wages, mostly wages, some of it is court costs, etc, etc. Because I went to court, he didn't even bother turning up. As it turns out, when I left, he basically made the business dormant. Started, well, yeah, I'd say started a new business, but of course thereafter I put the county court judgment and the warrant in and all the rest of it. So he can no longer be a company director. That's a shame, isn't it? He's now working for, I think, someone called The Courier Company in Cambridge as a sales manager or something, so watch out for that guy. Driving haulage, you know, so don't do any business with them. So I said to the revenue, not to digress, but I am, I said to the revenue, I said, well, look, you know, this bloke owes me £2,000. They said, well, why don't you take him to court? Kind of funny, I'd thought of that, you know what I mean? I replied to them and I said, well, but, you know, funnily enough I did. County court judgment, warrant, He'd folded the company, and this guy, you know, you can do some research into him, as I did, and you can find out he's had, I think it was seven different companies in the last 15 years. He's been involved with, mostly as managing director. And they've all sort of folded in the same way. You know, the company secretary leaves, and then the accounts get signed off, and you know, total con artist. But of course, you know, the police aren't the slightest bit interested because that'll be a civil offence. You know, I don't know when the police are going to realise that if you commit a civil offence, fair enough, right? If that's written in law that that's a civil offence, fair enough. But if someone is out there deliberately going out and breaking the law, be it civil offence, criminal offence, whatever, as soon as you go out and deliberately break the law, as soon as you go out and deliberately rip people off, that becomes a criminal act. You know, the police seem to be slightly bloody thick, really, to be honest. And I think I'll send this one to the police crime commissioner. Except I forgot they don't have the facilities to watch YouTube videos. Anyway, so I said to the revenue, I said, look, this guy owes me £2,000. Yeah. So if you want your £100, which I mentioned about 10 minutes ago, I think you know where to look. So they wrote back to me and said, well, we don't normally do, you know, cases of non-paid wages and all this. And I said, well, that's funny. I said, because, you know, I took the guy to court, he folded the company, I contacted the insolvency service, I contacted the police, and then I contacted you. And not one of you is willing to help me at all. So why am I even paying taxes? And that was my last communique to them. Well, just this week, as it would happen, I've got a letter back from them, and they miraculously seem to have balanced the books. I no longer owe them £100, and they are definitely going after this former employer that didn't pay this tax. So, word to the wise children. If the revenue send you a big demand, specifically if the year before they've given you a large tax rebate, question it, question it, question it, question it, question it. Always question it. Because, you know, whenever that came through, months ago, I forgot, you know, when it came through, this original demand. If I got my checkbook out and I'd gone, yeah, okay, revenue, £350, yeah, nothing would have been said. They'd have been like, oh, thanks very much. Yeah. So, you know, not only do they not work for the taxpayer, who, by the way, fund their entire existence, they'll just send out these threatening demands along the lines of the letter I got from the council, you know, which I did the video about earlier today. And it's all threats, and it's all bullying, and it's all, you must pay this money, you owe us this money, you will pay the state this money which you owe us. And oh look, it turns out I didn't owe them it at all. I mean, come on guys, you know, you can see what's happening here. I'm beginning to not like doing these videos, because as these things progress, it just seems to become more and more sinister the more I find out. I'm really beginning to wonder what this country's about anymore, because it's not about us. Honestly, I do despair sometimes. I wonder what happened to, you know, I wonder why all those servicemen and servicewomen gave their lives in the wars, and you know, and this is still going on with Afghanistan and everything. And they say it's for freedom of speech. You know, when you just, as with the council letter earlier in my last video, you know, if you do not return this form, you will lose your single discount entitlement. And then it says at the bottom, thank you very much for your cooperation in this exercise. Well, you know, right now they're having their cake and they're eating it, these people. But this can't go on, this can't last. This is the wrongest revenue. I don't know if my iPad's going to allow me to put that as the title. But just, you know, there is no democracy in this country anymore. There is no freedom of speech, and that really pisses me off. That really gives me the shit. Because what did these people in the forces die for? What are they still dying for? Honestly, this is why I return my service medals. Because there's nothing left of this country anymore. It really is quite shocking. It's reprehensible. It's absolutely bloody disgusting, if you ask me, the way these people are behaving. So, but, you know, just question it. Question everything, because these people just lie. Okay, thank you for watching.